So, Lulu, compulsive overeater, and I have another thief story. Just when I thought I wasn't a thief. Okay, so years and years and years ago, I was in my 20s, and I had a best friend, and she was married. I wasn't, and she had a baby, and I didn't. And when she had her baby, she was a real thief when I think about it, uh, because she went to Sears and bought a crib for her baby. Okay, the baby used the crib for 2 years. Then she decided that she didn't need the crib anymore, so she saved the box and put the crib in the box and took it back to Sears and said she didn't have her receipt and she wanted the money back for the crib. So she was telling me that she did this, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." So the crib goes back, and she said, "But they didn't. They, I don't know. This was decades ago, so I don't know understand exactly how this return worked, but they needed to mail her a check. So the crib was like, say, $400. So she they sent her a check for $400. She got it like maybe 6 weeks later, and I remember her telling me, "I got the check for my crib," and I was like, "Well, aren't you clever?" And so that was that. Then she had another baby, so she went back and bought the crib again. And then after this baby used it for 2 years, she returned it. So she called me and she said, I'm doing the same thing with my second crib, but I don't want to use the same name because they might match it up to that. Do you mind if I use your name? And the check will come to you." And I was like, "Sure." Didn't even think for a second. It was just fine. So the check comes to me. So she returns it. The check comes to me like 6 weeks later, and it's like a check for $400. And I signed it and gave it to her. "Here's your check." That was the end of that. About 3 weeks later, I get a check from Sears. It's another $400. So they paid, something happened and they paid it twice. So I'm sitting there with this $400 check. It was obviously Sears' mistake, and returning Sears did not feel like an option at all. Uh, I was like, my friend already got her $400. I'm like, I could just like cash this. Now, back then, $400 is probably, it would probably be like if you had a check today for like 4,000, 2,000, probably 2,000, right? And I was just like, shit, I could really use this. So I just cashed it. I just cashed it. And I'm like, she never knew that there was a double. Sears never knew that they paid double. Seemed extremely innocent to me. That was when I was 20, in my 20s. So now I'm in my 50s and I'm doing a resentment on her because we're not friends anymore. It that was like that's a whole nother story. But I did my turnarounds on her, and I didn't have any resentment in relation to that story at all. In fact, I had no resentment at all. I was $400 richer. But in talking about her and my past with her, when I was doing my turnarounds with my sponsor, I was like, yeah, I'm kind of thinking about something I did that doesn't seem really cool. And so we talked about it, and she's like, "Yeah, that's not cool. That's not the right thing. That's stealing." So going back, I said, "Do you think I need to go back to Sears and say like, is there somebody I can give $400 to?" And she's like, "I don't know if that would be your amends. Why don't you pray on it and think about what it is? What would be your amends?" So again, if I was going to do this today, I don't know if this would be the ideal one, but it worked really well. What I decided to do was there's this organization in my area called uh, um, oh my god, I can't think of the name of it. Yeah, we don't rehearse here at this on 12 Step It Up Blogspot. We don't rehearse. Uh, something for something. Oh, anyway, it's an organization and it's right on the tip of my tongue. And they provide uh, bedding, bedding and furniture type thing, mostly like sleep bedroom furniture for people that are for women that are getting out of shelters and setting up for the first time. So what I did was I went to Sears and I spent $400 on porta cribs, like those porta cribs. They were all brand new. I think I was able to get like 5 of them or 6 of them. And I went to fill in the blank organization. I can't remember it. um, and I donated them all. And that so there are 6 babies somewhere. And I gave Sears $400 worth of business. And it just felt clean. It felt good. It felt really good. The only thing that didn't feel good was when the woman at the organization was praising me because it was really none of her business what I was doing. So I didn't need to really share that. But I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of not that good of a person. Like you're just like, you're amazing. You're so great. And look at you. You're so giving. And I'm just, so, oh, can we have your address? We want to send you a card. And I was just like, you know something? I'm all set. You've thanked me enough, and I didn't want to be a superstar there. Um, I didn't, they didn't need to know. It was between me and God. And it just at that moment, it felt really good and clean. And I never had to think about that check again. Um, it was just a good, clean feeling.